Welcome back to CEO.CA. I'm with Ken Konkin of Tudor Gold in Vancouver at the Vancouver Resource Investment Conference, and we're excited to tell you all about what he's been working on for decades now.
Thank you very much, Rachel. Happy to be here.
So let's talk about, like I mentioned, your experience with Tudor, but more importantly, I think, give us some context and history to who you are and what you've done so far in BC's Golden Triangle.
Yeah, I'm a field explorationist, and I started my career basically in the heart of the Golden Triangle in the early 80s and had success with many discoveries there. Small, albeit at the time, but significant because it was the thread that was pulled and unraveled to the bigger deposits is what happened in the end. So I did have good success at Tree Creek in the late 80s. I had two discoveries, one named Konkin Gold and one named Konkin North, that later was renamed by American Creek, our joint venture partner, as Copper Bell.
Let's clarify for audience members. Under Tudor, we've got Goldstorm, and that's the focus right now.
Correct.
Across your entire deposit. You say it's going to be a mine, it's just a matter of how large. Can you expand on that?
Yeah, typically I work on projects that I know have a good chance of becoming a mine. It's always a question of boiling it down to where the economics then work. If you start with the biggest, broadest panoramic view of the low grade and you keep tightening up the parameters, like best way I can describe it to you would be like to put the treadmill on inclination, keep inclining the treadmill harder by the way of increasing cutoffs. Mm-hmm. So we started with a 0.3 cutoff with initial resource, for example. That 0.3 cutoff for an open pit was acceptable, but it produced a large 19.41 million ounce deposit that had only about a 0.74 resource, 3/4 of a gram. I didn't like it. I cautioned the company, let's just finish off the drilling because the inferred was indicating a much higher grade of 8 million ounces. So I knew I wasn't past the center of mass yet. It was just the beginning.
So you had confidence that you would be able to convert into the higher?
Correct,
okay.
Correct. I knew that we'd go to the center of mass and we'd be rewarded, and we were. So pivotal point in 2020 was to now convert the narrative of the company. We're not just a gold company, we're a gold, copper, silver company, because one of the domains, a massive domain, is what we then targeted. That turned out to be the CS600 domain, and that's the one that has beautiful response metallurgically. So metallurgically, we've got some great numbers back on it, so it produces a nice, clean concentrate, high-grade concentrate of 29% copper with really good credits for gold and silver with that. So I'm really proud that we've gotten to that point. We've given it to two engineering groups, and they both came back with saying, yep, absolutely, this looks like a beautiful sub-level block cave. So we are working our way through the economics of how that's going to work out and how we take this to the next level. So all along, we kept increasing the grade. We kept increasing the cutoff. So now we're standing with not 0.3 we started initially. Now the superficial cutoff is 0.7. Mm-hmm. We've gone from 0.3 to 0.7. Underground, we went from a 0.46 cutoff to now a 0.75 cutoff, which is higher than the average grade of some of the deposits in the area, and that's our cutoff. You could be so bold to say, let's try a 1 gram cutoff, but then you'd lose, we'd be back to about 16 million ounces. So you lose maybe too much on that cut, but the grade would jump up to like a 1.4. So I always say this deposit is what you need it to be. Like there's lenses of 2s and 3s, of grams in this pile that we can hunt. So the concept is deposits are made, mines are made, not found. The deposits are the discovered. That's my job. I discover the mineralization. It's up to the disciplines that are the mining engineers, the metallurgists, to make the mine, to take it, optimize it. But one of the things that bothered me along this whole odyssey was, how in the heck are we seeing visible gold in places? And it shouldn't occur in the porphyry. It shouldn't be there. Normally it's peripheral or it's on the outsides, the outskirts. Normally these large monster deposits, they have little sparks of high grade. But during the 2003 campaign, when we came to the end, we realized that 3 holes in the northeasternmost sector added up to a straight plane. And I realized that there was absolutely a good chance that we've got a high-grade target to hunt. Mm-hmm. So in late 2003, Chris Kern and I went out and raised about just under $10 million.
Chris Kern is actually you recently promoted a VP.
VP of VP of Corporate Development and IR, correct. Yes. So he and I went to London and Germany and came back to Canada, came in with $5 million hard dollars, and which was impossible to find money, and we were able to finance a small drill program. And the reason of that program was, and people were confused. So, well, why, Ken? You've got 27.9 million ounces of 1.19 gold equivalent with 3 billion pounds of copper in that. What the heck? I said, well, the reality is we're pushing out the lobes to get the highest grade portion, to get the highest internal rate of return for the economics of the PEA. More importantly, secretly, you don't want to be wrong, so you don't really over promote it. And that's probably my biggest downfall. I don't over promote things, but we're secretly hunting supercell.
Well, your supercell is a term you also have
invented
yourself.
Yeah, that's that. And that's another difficult thing to be a guy that's in the field, and now you're behind a podium trying to convey that to people who are investors who aren't really geologically savvy. If I was to tell you this is a tectonic fabric that has the same consistency of, it'd be over the head. Yeah, completely. Yeah. So what I do describe is, imagine a nebula, an expanding nebula, which is Goldstorm, and late stage you get sheets of lightning that go off. And this is the high-grade supercells that are charged with gold that were late stage, that cut and superimposed over top of CS600 and through parts of 300 horizon. So it's a late-stage event. The ages, I believe, match up with Brucejack as well.
Now, you always have mentioned recently, especially, I want to do it once and I want to do it good when it comes to the PEA. Well, in general, having patience in this industry is key for this next milestone, this catalyst. Why Tudor? Why you?
Well, for me, I don't know. I think I was born to do this. I mean, honest to God, I think it was something that I wish that I had that patience and that strength to say no to that first mineral resource estimate we did that came out at 0.74. Think about it, 0.74. Now we're working on 1.22 on the CS600. That's a game changer, just that grade alone, because our current grade for the largest mine in Canada is 0.89, is the mill feed for Detour Lake. And Malartic was similar before they shut down the pit. They've exhausted that.
Are these two, Detour, Malartic, the two largest
deposits?
Agnico,
yes, 1 and 2. That's 1 and 2, and number 3 is Brucejack. Yeah. Ironically, Valley of Kings is number 3 and the highest grade one of all of them. Soon it'll be probably Windfall. They've got a slightly higher grade. So my goal was to look at this one plane, to fire in 10 to 12 holes to test the theory, but also push the envelope of the highest grade lobes of CS600 and the DS5, the deepest of the domains, just to push those envelopes to see if we can actually make a difference. And it wasn't more of the same. I don't need more of the same. I need higher grades. I need the grade, the catalyst, the mine within the mine, the one thing that's going to be the CapEx killer. The CapEx killer. Think about it. Because what's going to happen? Now we've exhausted ourselves to where we can't reach the deposit anymore from going, it's plunging too deep on the topography. It's not that deep. It's actually not too far from the surface. And I'm blessed with having two really good advisors, Joe Ovsnick and Ken McNaughton of Pratium fame. And they were with me with the entire discovery. They were the guys I worked for. And Ken McNaughton said, geez, Ken, what's that hole costing you, like $1 million? I go, no, not quite, but close. And because as I recall, $9.9 million went to less than a dozen holes, 10 holes. So yeah, he's pretty much on the money. It's almost $1 million a hole when you're drilling up there. And he says, go underground. That's what we did at Brucejack. We couldn't reach, remember? I said, yeah, I remember that. We drilled the rest of them underground. Yeah. He goes, look at it. It's not that bad. And then I did. I talked to the engineers. They said, yeah, okay, 2 to 3 kilometer tunnel. Yeah, we're between 12 to 15 million. That's the cost just of the ramp. Just that's it. And then you're there. So do the math. If you sat there and I was going to tell you you're going to drill 100 holes to flesh out all of the supercells, and that's another point. We'll get to that in a minute. Don't let me off the hook on that one. When I do that same 100 holes from surface, that's 150,000 meters. If I'm underground touching it, I might be drilling a 200 meter hole, 300 meter hole on average. At the worst case scenario, that's a 20,000, 30,000 meter program. Your net difference is going to be 120,000 meters. 120,000 meters, even minusing the cost of the $12 million, $15 million, pales in comparison of the savings, pales. There's no economic comparison. It's in the tens of millions, if not 20s of millions of dollars, $40 million in savings. Depends how much you're going to drill. So what else do you get with the ramp? You get more advanced exploration in the way of feasibility when you're going to have to take a bulk sample to test your theory of your mill, of your 10,000 ton test. You're touching CS600 already. More importantly, you drilled off all potential for your supercell, and it wasn't supercell 1C we're after. We renamed it. It was just supercell 1. That was it. because we didn't realize there was an A, a B, and then a D below the C because we hit 4. I didn't see 4 coming. I actually made a prediction that we were going to hit high grade, but at the other end of the scale, right next to the Bruce Jack Lake Fault, at Perfect Storm, yet another system. But we weren't going to get into that. We wanted to finish off the play at Goldstorm. So the story continues. That deposit is still wide open. Goldstorm is wide open in every category. We're just comfortable with the 27.9 million ounces of 1.19 global average, but we know that we take the higher grade copper stream 600 with the 0.31% copper in it, 0.91 gold. That one is the one that's going to give you a beautiful, clean, no deleterious metals concentrate, saleable concentrate. That's where your money is for a company maker, a 30, 40 year mine life just on that. So the big takeaway for this is Goldstorm is 1 of 4. There are 3 others out there. So we're going to one by one systematically go through this. And again, the patience is really important, because would it be a credit to the shareholder for me to go out and to do a PEA now just on the CS600 when I know I've got a high grade system in my lap with 4 components to it, all structured beautiful 10-gram material. Average grade of Bruce Jack right now is 8 grams. So it's in alignment. It's directly south of us, 10 kilometers. I'm telling you that I've got a feeling. Last time I saw an opportunity like that, I gave it the name Valley of the Kings. Turned out to be the 3rd largest producer in Canada. So here we are. So why wouldn't I promote going after, rejuvenation of exploration, renewing it, go after a 1,500 ton a day operation as a CapEx killer that provides me a ramp to do what? To do my advanced exploration. More importantly, it's the development to do vent raising for the block cave. So that same ramp will be repurposed for all development purposes because it happens to be in the exact same place where it needs to be. We got lucky on that one.
Well, earlier you were saying, I wish I was more steadfast with my, recommendation to the company years ago about not going out with a resource estimate. So now maybe that experience gives you more conviction to stay on course.
It's vote by committee. It's not a dictatorship. So I have one say, and it's the technical aspect of it. But the markets are really being impatient and pushing for economics. But anybody, I'm going to tell you, can put together a PEA and put in all of the assumptions they want. And that's the problem with PEAs. I want to do the correct engineering, do it correctly, and do something that's closer to what would be accepted as, say, a pre-feasibility. So my point of all this is, why would I burn $500,000 to $800,000 of shareholders' money now, come out with a PEA that I know I'm going to be redoing in 2 years? It's like going back to 2020 when we came out with 2021's first mineral resource, when I knew in 2 years, in 2023, I had a spectacular resource at much higher the grade, much higher cutoffs, and much more geologic constraint because I brought in the right people to do the job correctly at that point once we had the starter. So that's the same conditions, and keep in mind the timeline is almost identical to the timeline we had at Bruce Jack Lake. By the time we turned our attention to the Valley of the Kings, it was 2010. We were pouring Dory 7 years later, but that odyssey began in 2006 with the high-grade target, and that's what we were chasing at Bruce Jack, to be honest with you, a bunch of silver anomalies that would have indicated that porphyry system. So it's freakishly similar in all accounts, and it's like lightning has struck twice for me in the nebula of the supercells.
We're going to have to stand to watch.
That's right. Now, don't make me a liar, right? So no, it's something that has to be done either way. It's a yes or yes. There's no other way of accomplishing this. And I think that the shareholders have to see that and understand it. And thanks to people like yourself that can put out the story and get to the viewers to say that, yes, Ken Konkin is not a madman. He's not going to just keep drilling for the heck of it. He's going to drill with purpose. And there's a purpose behind it, it's a big one. And that is to eventually be the development for the ramp.